I have this song that keeps jumping into my head from time to time. And I don't know why. And I know just about every single word. I think I know every single word to the song. But I won't sing it.
Why must you tease me so?
Well, when I tell you what it is, you'll understand. It's the theme from The Facts of Life.
The Facts of Life? That's a great theme. What's wrong with singing that?
Don't tempt me. I'm not going to do it.
See, what I'm going to do is sing it wrong so that you'll be
don't do that,
forced.
Trudy. Don't do that, Trudy. Tootie or Tootie? Tootie.
Come on, Trudy.
Yeah, it was inappropriate.
Who the hell is that? Trudy. Nobody knew Trudy.
I'm sure there was a cousin Trudy or a friend named Trudy.
Were you a... Oh, that's goofed up my stuff. Were you a Blair or a Joe?
Joe.
Oh, yes.
I think I said that too
answer.
quickly. I think...
No. That must be the answer. That is the only answer.
I can't believe I said that.
But you were right there on the response.
It's like Ginger or Marianne.
Yeah, well, which one are you?
Marianne, of course. You can't be a Joe.
Yeah,
you can't be a Joe and not like...
That's true. Joes are more likely to be Marianne's. That has to be a scientific fact.
Sure. That was one of my favorite shows as a kid. I mean, it still is a favorite show. It's just never on, which is Gilligan's Island.
I don't know the last time I've seen an episode of Facts of Life.
No, I'm talking about Gilligan's Island.
Or Gilligan's Island. Either one, really. I think I've probably seen Gilligan's Island more recently than I've seen Facts of Life.
I don't feel like Facts of Life, even though it has clearly like drilled its way into my subconscious.
It has had an effect, obviously.
I don't think it has weaved its way into my DNA the way the Gilligan's Island did.
Oh, really? It wasn't quite as formative.
I mean, DNA. I mean, like it's like at the DNA level. Like I'm pretty sure my kids now have some of it too.
Oh, really? Are they?
They just don't know.
Now, which was there a particular character that you identified with more, or?
Oh, you mean like a favorite character on Gilligan's Island?
Yeah, in Gilligan's. Like, is there some reason that it necessarily resonated with you more than anything else?
I don't know. I never thought of it that way.
Than anything else.
I never thought of it that way, Doctor. But
tell me about your mother.
I mean, isn't Gilligan like the obvious answer?
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, but
as a child,
you also had a younger brother, so there may be a little Skipper in you.
Yeah, but I had an older brother too.
Oh, wow. So you were both Gilligan and Skipper. That's an interesting past.
I certainly wasn't the professor. What was his deal anyway?
I don't know, but he's also in This Island Earth, and he plays the exact same character. So I've always kind of thought that they were the same person. That after he fights the aliens, he goes on a boat tour with Gilligan and Skipper. Yeah. I don't know why I brought up that utterly ridiculous and completely useless bit of trivia, but it wouldn't be trivia if it wasn't useless.
I haven't seen it.
Definition of the.
So I can't follow you down that rabbit hole very far. Mm-mm.
Yeah, it's a very interesting sci-fi film from the 50s, and it's much better if you watch the Mystery Science Theater 3000 version.
Oh,
that's much better. That was the one that they released in theaters, and it was fantastic. Saw it in the theater, wonderful. But if I saw it without Mike and the Bots, I don't know if it would have been as enjoyable.
There was something... So you know what I really enjoyed about Gilligan's Island that I also enjoyed about Our Gang?
Oh, the Little Rascals.
Mm-hmm.
What's that?
They would put on these these intricate stage shows and
yeah, they're pretty good at that.
And then like in Our Gang, they remember when that episode where they made it was like I mean the only way I can describe it as a bus. They made like a bus.
They made a bus,
but it was probably more like it It wasn't a goat cart. It's much more significant than a goat cart because it held multiple kids. So that's why I think it's like this
Go bus.
Yeah, and they just drove it down the hill, and then
Okay.
of course, like, you know, the antics that happened like along the way. But it was so, like, I saw this and I'm like, I want to do that. Why don't, like, I've got to do that, right? And Gilligan's Island was kind of the same way. They would take some coconuts and some twine that they made
A
from
lot of bamboo. There's always bamboo.
bamboo, and yeah, and they would put on these productions. They're like, not that I was ever into like, oh, I'm going to put on the theater production, but it was just like amazed me, like the things that they could do, that they would do with these limited resources.
Yeah. It was incredible. Well, I mean, thank God they had the
Intriguing.
professor, right? I don't know that they would have been as good at fashioning these things if they didn't have the resident brainy guy.
Maybe not. I don't know. I feel like I need to go back and watch it now to have a more educated conversation about.
I'd like to see a prequel that kind of, you know how Lost did that, right? They go through the backgrounds of all the different characters. I would love to see like a series of flashbacks that gave us why each of the people from Gilligan's Island was there. Surely somebody has thought of this.
Could you think they could remake Gilligan now? And why haven't they remade Gilligan?
I don't know. I think in a way, Lost kind of was the remake.
No, but it took itself very seriously, and it was a great series. But why have they not remade?
We
Gilligan's
don't get
Island?
a lot of good, like, well, and not that I'm precluding anything that isn't a Gilligan's Island reboot from being good comedy, but we just don't have good comedy movies and comedy
Gilligan
TV
wasn't
shows
that
anymore.
good. I mean, it's like if you go
true.
back, if you watch it now, it's
Now
it's pretty terrible.
it's a little
As
dated.
a kid, it's highly entertaining.
Absolutely, it is.
I mean,
And you want them to get off the island, but you don't
do.
realize that you don't want that Because
until they
then-
do, and then you're wishing them back, and then guess what happens?
And it's like everybody and their dog ends up on that island and somehow gets home, but they stay on the island. That's always kind of sad.
Did they have a dog on the island ever?
Well, now that you mention it, I'm not sure.
See, now we have to fact check.
I don't have the
Fact check,
encyclopedic
please.
knowledge of Gilligan's Island that I do from other shows, but
Well, we need to rectify that. I think that they should remake Gilligan's Island.
I haven't been
Pronto.
to Gilligan Con or anything like that. Fan conventions.
We could start that.
We could.
So after we
could.
trademark after we trademark Starch Madness, we will have to move on to Gilligan Con.
The 3-hour con.
Would it be Gilligan Con or just Gil Con?
Gilcon. I think
Gilligan
that
Con.
would get too confused with Gil Gerard, and he might show up,
Which
which
would
wouldn't
be
be a bad
amazing.
thing. Yeah,
That would be
you
amazing.
want Buck Rogers at Gilligan Con? You absolutely do.
Yeah. Buck Rogers is another fantastic show that surprisingly was never remade.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is that the 80s version of the show was itself a remake of so many different series and serials and all of that stuff, but it kind of stopped there, and they didn't keep attempting. It wasn't like like how many Spider-Mans are we on now? Like 700?
Yeah, right. And Batman's. I don't understand.
Yeah, we
I
got a
don't
new
like.
Batman
I
coming
don't get it. I mean, I like Batman's interesting. It's fun. I've
Yeah,
enjoyed
I
most
love
of the
Batman.
movies, but they
That's the one
literally
we
tell
keep
the same
going.
story again. Like,
Yeah,
here
that's
we go.
true.
We're going all the way back to the beginning. We're going to talk about the
And,
origin story. And
I wasn't really done with Ben Affleck's Batman. I thought we could have done more with him. I thought he did a good job, actually. I was, a little skeptical. I do point out, as a point of pride, that I knew that Heath Ledger was going to be a good Joker. When they said he was going to be Joker, it was like, what? The guy from First, or what is it? The guy
Brokeback
from
Mountain.
well, that. But what's the one where he's a knight? Knight's Tale. What's the one that has the tale about the guy that's a knight? But everyone's like, nah, this guy's terrible. I was like, nah, you just wait. And I'm the same way with Robert Pattinson. He's going to be a good Batman. But
I don't really know him.
like, well, I don't know him, but
Well, you don't I don't know his work. Really, I don't think.
well, I mean, everybody knows him from what's the vampire, the Twilights, and he was
I don't know.
Cedric
Never saw him.
Diggory.
Yeah, I know. Oh, that's him?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I know
That's him.
Cedric. Of course I know Cedric.
And,
Cedric and I are like this.
but he was me and the dig, yeah. But he was also in this movie recently. It's kind of a thriller horror period piece called The Lighthouse with Willem Dafoe. And while I haven't seen the movie, I've seen stuff from the movie, and he is nailing stuff in there. He's doing good, right. And so I think he's going to make an excellent Batman. But like he said, DC has a plethora of characters. And we really keep revisiting Batman, like more so than anybody else, even Superman. So I don't know. Maybe we should finally give, Green Lantern an actual shot instead of that unfortunate Ryan Reynolds attempt.
Well, okay. So how about this? If you could only pick from the and we're going way off brand, by the way, by focusing on DC a little bit here, but just
true.
Bear
but
with
Marvel's
me here.
got things covered.
They do.
They don't need any help.
They do all right for themselves. One of my favorite Saturday morning cartoons was Super Friends.
Oh yes,
I loved Super Friends, and I was I don't know about you, but I was a Wonder Twins kid, like that.
You like the Wonder Twins rather than
I was too young for.
Who was it? Wendy and
whatever their funny names were.
Super Martin or something, and they had a dog.
The dog was cool, but Gleek was cooler.
Gleek was much cooler. He's a monkey. He's wearing a mask.
He's a monkey.
So you don't know which monkey he is.
What else do you need? He's a monkey. And he had one interest. It was bananas. Period.
He's kind of a one-dimensional character, but he's good. He's purple too, so that's a plus.
So anyway, so if you had to pick a character from Super Friends,
yeah,
to make a new franchise.
Oh, okay.
Well, let's say this. Let's dream a little dream here. What if the Walt Disney Company, with the change that they have left over, purchased DC?
Okay.
And they said, okay, they come to you and they say, Marcus, here's the deal. We need to figure out where to begin here. And so many things have been done, and we could do another Superman, we could do another Batman, we could do a new spin on it or something. But we know, because of the demographics and such, that we really should pick a character from Super Friends. Which character should it be? And who should be the villain?
Ooh, which character and who should be the villain? That's a good question. I am at a loss on some of these guys' names.
Okay, well, I'll help you out if you can describe them. Then I will.
Well, the guy that he
pull up my Super Friends database here. I'm going to tap into the Hall of Justice. Tap into the Hall of Justice here. Okay.
I remember, because I'm remembering vaguely, I should know more about this because I read a lot of DC comics, but they were all like A-listers, like Green Lantern and Superman and all of that stuff. And and these guys were all DC and they had their own titles for the most part, if I remember correctly. Well, who's the guy that could turn the bottom half of his body into like a tornado? And he flew around and stuff. Remember that guy? Who was that guy?
Was it Firestorm? Oh.
No, Fire. I know Firestorm. That's
it?
He was in the Arrowverse, and he's pretty cool. That actually wouldn't be a bad choice.
Well, I already know who I want. Let's see, because they don't give me pictures here, so I have to keep. There was a guy. There was Plastic Man.
Yeah, he was in Justice League too.
Interesting.
Yeah, everybody remembers the sort of goofy cartoon, but he's actually been an actual DC character for a long time.
Okay, so was it? I don't know who that person was you're talking about. You sure didn't make that up?
I may have made it up now that you mentioned it, but I have this distinct...
Maybe he was a Legion of Doom person.
I want to say he was a hero. He was a good guy.
All right, so you have Flash, Green Lantern, Hawkgirl, Hawkman, Cyborg.
Yeah. Cyborg was in Super Friends?
Yeah.
Or are you looking at Justice League, aren't you?
No, I'm looking. No.
Cyborg. That's what
they said here. Hold on, he presents.
That floors me.
It does floor me too a little bit actually because
that was
later?
a character that came up after the death of Superman.
Hold on. So what is this article?
Apocalypse.
Super Friends. Here's Super Friends right here. Super Friends right here.
Super Friends.
And I'm looking at this thing, and it says right here characters, and there's the core group of 5 heroes, and then additional. It says additional Justice League members included. Now maybe. So Cyborg says 1985. So maybe there was a remake? Was there like a comeback?
It could be that was a character
before
Friends. All of that.
And it says 1985.
Yeah, but I mean, like the whole Death of Superman thing was like 94 or something like that. And I thought that Cyborg sprung from that. I may be completely wrong about that. Because he was one of this dude may be Superman back in the flesh kind of things. Because there was that guy, and then there was... Wow, I totally... Apparently, I formatted that partition in my brain, but I remember there being like 4 or 5 sort of like, maybe this is Superman reborn, and Cyborg was one of them, but because they all had S's. Anyway, I am angering all nerds right now, and I feel bad because I used to count myself among them.
Yeah, we're really letting people down. I'm at a loss to tell you who this tornado dude was that you're talking about.
Man, I got it. I got to do some Googling.
I really can't help you with that, but I can tell you the person I'm kind of now intrigued with, who I had forgotten about but now remember, is Rima the Jungle Girl.
Oh yeah.
I think that she could.
Now, how is it that I nailed it immediately? Samurai is that guy.
No, I didn't click on Samurai. He doesn't sound like somebody would have a tornado.
No, he doesn't. But
of course, you like the Japanese superhero.
I didn't honestly. I thought he was like Middle Eastern. I thought it was a different.
Well, the picture I have here of him does not show a tornado, but
he is the Wind of Justice. According to this.
That's what I call myself to the kids sometimes.
I had the Wind of Justice once, but I drank a glass of warm, salty water, went away like that. But, that's not my joke. That's Kaze no yu ni hyaku.
There's also El Dorado. Okay, we got to move on because we're going to bore
El Dorado. I remember him.
Yeah. Anyway, I think it would be interesting.
I think Firestorm. I like Firestorm as the basis, and then the villain. Oh, there were so many weird ones. I have always liked Black Manta. I think that dude is pretty cool. Who? And even though they don't go together, because
who?
Black Manta. He's got the oblong helmet.
Oh yeah, you're talking about the villain, but you didn't.
Yeah, for the villain.
So you're picking Samurai.
He's an underwater villain, so it's like they would never meet. They just kind of stare at each other.
Never the twain
glare.
Okay. Yeah, he was Aquaman's like nemesis, right? Yeah. So
he's cool.
The person who I really liked, if I can find it, because I don't know how to spell the person's name. Do you remember the?
We awkwardly Googling.
Here he is. Here, I found it. No, I found him. Well, you'll understand. It's the Mxyzptlk. It's the
Mr. Mxyzptlk.
I love the episodes with him.
Yeah, he's a good one.
I loved them, and his character reminds me of Q from Next Generation.
Yeah, sort of a trickster guy, all omnipowerful. Yeah.
Right? I feel like Q was probably based on Mxyzptlk.
Could possibly be a strong
maybe they're the same
influence.
person.
Could be. The Star Trek universe. It would not be the first time that Star Trek and DC had a crossover, and I wish I was kidding about that.
Where did they have a crossover?
There were ages. It was in comics, but it was one of those
really
kind of things. Yeah,
interesting. Well, because I think
it was DC.
He's a fifth dimensional imp.
Of course he is.
Well,
imps have the fifth dimension has the best imps.
There were multiples though, actually. Oh, this is so interesting.
Doesn't surprise me. There's multiples.
Wow,
most of these characters.
There's There's actually multiple fifth dimensional imps. Anyway, for those of you the reason I love Mxyzptlk is because the trick. I can't remember how I would get out of prison, wherever they would put him. I mean, because he's fifth dimension, so I don't know what they do to keep him in. But like locking Q up in a prison.
Right.
Okay. So the trick, though, to putting the genie back in the bottle was getting him to say his name backwards.
Right. Which
right?
is
Like
amazing that ever happened.
Well, it's like the whole Rumpelstiltskin thing, right? Isn't
Right,
that
exactly.
Isn't that what he has to do too?
I don't remember if it's backwards or if he just has to say his name.
Oh, maybe he just has to say it.
Seems like he has to say his name, and it doesn't have to be necessarily backwards.
Because it would be
Although
more,
you
that
might
seems
be
more
able to trick him
difficult.
into saying it by making him say it backwards.
It seems like, okay, say this word, and it's his name backwards. And then you say, "I'll say that backwards," and then he says Rumpelstiltskin. You're like, ha ha.
It's like, I never even noticed until it was too late that was my name backwards.
So I think he would be a fantastic villain for a movie.
Yeah.
In fact, I think he'd be. Can you imagine the backstory and everything else? Like, he could actually be the protagonist. The origin story of Mxyzptlk
Anti-hero,
and,
Mr. Mxyzptlk.
and why it's almost and Disney does this well because they did it. Name the movie.
Yeah, with Maleficent.
Exactly.
Maleficent.
And they need a French person to play Mxyzptlk too, because he looks kind of he looks like he'd have a French accent.
Batman, you are terrible.
Yeah, that's it.
Or something.
It's perfect.
Hey, I'm
perfect.
Mr. Mxyzptlk.
Yes, and that would give us an up. That would give us. I'm a producer on this.
Yeah,
that would give us a leg up at Cannes, I think. So. Good.
Definitely. They
love it when Americans do French accents, I hear.
and if you're gonna sling him a fifth dimensional imp, it better be a French one. Call those frimps.
But I'm trying to see like if he had anything on here about like how, like what his name was, like how you pronounced it backwards. Oh, here it is.
Oh,
Keltipzimtil. I'm going to say this phonetically first. Keltipzixum.
So
And that returned him home to his fifth dimension. And kept it. It would only keep him there for a minimum of 90 days.
So if you got him to say that backwards,
He would go back
gargantuan task.
He would go back to fifth dimension, and he would
You
be there
only
for...
get 90 days reprieve.
Correct.
That seems like diminishing returns. I think that you...
Well, it's a minimum of 90 days.
Oh, okay. So, well, I don't know. As hard as you... If he says it like really loud, do you get more time? I don't know. We need to explore the mechanics of this a little more.
I'm just surprised he didn't show up more frequently, given that he could come back so often. Maybe he was off tricking other worlds.
With 90 days minimum, you got like at least 2 episodes a season.
The character appeared in a live-action portrayed by Howie Mandel in 1993 television series Lois and Clark.
Did he really?
No, I feel like this has to be seen.
Yeah. I think we have homework.
He was renamed Mikhail, so of course he's Russian. Mikhail Mxyzptlk.
Like
He appeared in...
That's any better.
Oh.
Mikhail Mxyzptlk.
Apparently, I'm not the only one who liked Mxyzptlk.
Oh.
These other people have done things with him.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, he shows up, as I understand it, with pretty regular frequency in the comics.
I guess so. He's only away for 90 days, and he's back. So
And
I think that
Mxyzptlk.
Gilligan's Island remake is in order.
Ooh, Mxyzptlk shows up on a very special episode. If the Harlem Globetrotters could show up.
One of the most disappointing things I've ever gone to see was the Harlem Globetrotters, because I was expecting the ones from my childhood.
Oh, Geese Osby and...
Well, not the actual guys. I'm not that dumb, but I realized I expected it to be kind of a similar show.
Oh, is it not? I haven't seen them since
that
that period of time.
It's ridiculous. Stupid.
Oh, that sucks.
Of course, there are these things that like you see when you're a kid and you're like, oh, that's amazing. And then you go and watch it.
2 of them were
I
my
apologize in
favorite.
advance.
Go.
The Black Hole is one of those movies.
Where you wish you
I was a
hadn't watched it
kid.
again?
I was like, oh, such a good movie. I hadn't seen it in years.
Did you watch it recently for listening?
Well, I watched it the first day Disney Plus came out.
Oh, really?
That was the first thing I watched.
Oh, cool.
and I regret it. I should have never watched it again because now I say that, and I know that there are people who have watched it recently and love it.
I have watched it. I enjoyed it.
It's just,
but I don't know that that's not nostalgia playing hard on me.
It's hard to swallow.
It's
like
actually it was a little less. I don't know that I've seen it since. Certainly, I was younger than 16 the last time I watched it, because whenever it would come on TV, I would watch it. So but apparently I watched it quite a bit when I was a kid, because I was surprised at just how well I knew the lines in this movie. In fact, I had been quoting some of it, or just thinking of it in my head, and I guess I thought it was a different movie. I didn't realize I was quoting this movie. But the point is, I watched it for the first time in a very long time, and I kind of got it better this time. I think that the last time I watched it, I was just not, mentally sophisticated enough to get what Reinhardt was doing and what was going on necessarily between the characters and then the humanoid robots and all of that stuff. I wasn't quite with that. And so this time through, that was kind of an entertaining aspect of it. It was kind of going, oh, okay. Yeah. A lot. And so maybe that also clouded my experience a little bit in the positive, tilt. But yeah, I have to admit that and this was 77, right? I think.
Yeah.
Or no, excuse me, it's 79 because it's after Star Wars.
Yes, that's right. Yeah. But before Empire.
Yeah. And it still so much has the 60s science fiction movie thing going on with it. In fact, almost all of the stars of this, except for Maximilian Schell, and I would argue Ernest Borgnine, even though he does he does belong there. He clearly, fits in with everybody, but he's so timeless that it doesn't really apply to him. But the captain,
I thought this was Poseidon.
But the captain and Charlie, his second, these guys are right out of a 50s or 60s, Rocky Jones and the rocket jet, kind of to space, kind of thing. And it was really weird.
I don't need to see it again.
As much as I love Slim Pickens, and I remember really enjoying the character of Old Bob when I was a kid, it really is a bizarre random choice for this movie to have Slim Pickens be the voice of Old Bob. That is really weird. And they point out that he was programmed in Houston, which I guess that's supposed to explain it.
It explains maybe part of it, but not really.
So clearly we need to put Slim Pickens as the voice.
Well, they had Slim Pickens. But
it's a pun.
So I don't know. I think that I think Gilligan's Island should get a remake.
Definitely.
I feel like also I Was a Strange Child. I also enjoyed The Love Boat.
That is strange for a child. I kept away from The Love Boat when I was a kid because
that way.
I was like, that's some old people stuff. Captain Steubing, no, that's when I go to bed.
I loved it, and I love it. And it came on before Fantasy Island.
Yeah, now Fantasy Island I always enjoyed because I thought Ricardo Montalban was cool, and who doesn't love her?
You couldn't stay up and watch Fantasy Island if you didn't stay up and watch Love Boat, because Love Boat was on first.
Well, it wasn't so much about staying up. It was just sort of, I tuned out, I guess. Maybe I didn't go to bed. I was just like, okay, Love Boat. Because there's drinking and there's boats and there's a lot of evening wear. And
what kind of kid was I? I loved it. But if you go back and watch now,
very big hair,
which I do,
as you should. Is it on something now, a streaming service?
So I use YouTube TV.
Oh, okay.
And on YouTube TV, I mean, I use a lot of stuff. Like I have Disney Plus, and I have Netflix, and I have Hulu, and I've got all.
Sure, yeah, I got all that stuff.
I don't have cable though.
Well, yeah, who needs it? I mean,
well, right. I mean, I spend the equivalent in all my other subscription things now. So, I have on YouTube TV. You can basically program it to, like, if this is ever on any channel, record all of them.
Oh wow, cool.
And at some point it did, and it's wonderful. Now I don't go back and watch it very frequently, but every once in a while I do, and I do have the first 2 seasons of Love Boat on DVD also. But I got a little confession to make here about how lazy I am.
Okay.
It's gotten to the point now where, and please don't judge me too harshly here.
Oh, judgment-free zone. None of the confessions you've made tonight so far have rendered any judgment from me. So why would this be any different?
Brace yourself.
Uh-oh.
This came up recently. I don't remember what movie it was. I think it was The Matrix.
Okay. Good movie.
Henry hadn't seen The Matrix all the way through.
Ooh,
my youngest son. So I was like, we're going to watch The Matrix. Okay.
Heck yeah.
Well, I know I own the DVD.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But that's in the other room, like under a cabinet somewhere that's not organized. I'm going to have to pull all the DVDs out and shuffle through them and find it, right? Okay. Even when I do, now I've got to figure out how am I going to watch it, because neither my DVD player nor the Xbox, which could play it, are connected to the television right now. Now they're under there. They just aren't connected because, there's only so many ports and I have other needs. We won't talk about those. So I don't want, like, so I'm just like, I'm just gonna buy it. It was like $9.99 or something.
Yeah, yeah.
On Apple TV, which I also
Heck yeah, I get all my stuff on there.
And so that's what I did. There's something wrong.
There's nothing wrong with that.
So like the Love Boat, I have like the first 2 seasons of the Love Boat on DVD somewhere. And I don't watch them. I watch the recordings off of YouTube TV.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I can't exactly fault you for that because, well, number one, why would I anyway? But number two,
because it's a waste of $10.
$10 though. I mean, and if you're buying it on Apple TV, well, see, there's that. And if it's on Apple TV, then you have it in 4K, even if you don't yet have a 4K TV. See, I don't have a 4K TV yet, but I bought a lot of this junk on Apple. How
do you not have a 4K TV yet?
I don't know. I got my TV a long time ago, and it's doing a good job. So. So this is before, like when 4K TVs came out, they were like ridiculously expensive, right? Now I know that now they're like $1.50 or whatever, but I just haven't. I've got a 50-inch.
Your TV's not even mounted. It's not like you even have the excuse of like, oh my God, I gotta.
I don't want to take it down off the mount.
It's the whole thing.
Well, I don't know what to do with the old TV.
What size is your TV?
50. It's a 50. To throw it away? I don't think it fits in my garbage can.
No, what are you doing? Like, first of all, there's bulk trash. Second of all, you could always sell it.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. Remember, we've talked about this.
True.
If you put it out on your curb, it's going to get taken.
That's true. But
there's that guy.
The guy with the chaise lounges, yeah. But go back.
No, I mean, like 3. Seriously, you gotta do something about that.
I do.
I'm gonna shame you.
Yeah, clearly.
I mean, seriously. Like
now, I have I'm talking to you on a 5K iMac, so I am able to view things in 4K if I need to.
You need a 40-inch at least, or 50-inch rather. Come on, dude.
Well, I mean, if given my druthers, I need like a 90-inch. I mean, because I love.
Well, see,
here's
screens. Okay. Well, now that's your problem, because then you go to look at like a 90-inch, and you're gonna say, "Oh, that's really expensive."
Well, yeah.
Just like an LED, like a real, not an LED, what's it called? OLED?
No, LED, yeah.
Yeah, so in my Samsung, which I had bought relatively brand new, like it couldn't fix itself, and they couldn't fix it. And so finally I was like, I'm returning this. So after that took months to figure out. I went and looked at the my options, and instead of it was like a big 72-inch Samsung, like ultra high def 4K, blah blah blah, nice TV, like one of those Thanksgiving deals, but it didn't work, so it's not that nice. So then I go back and I look, and there's these 60-inch OLEDs. Mm-hmm. They look pretty good.
Well, yeah, OLEDs are great. Yeah.
So I bought it, and I brought it home, and I set it out right in front of my 72-inch TV that didn't work.
Just to shame it.
Well, just to see if I cared enough. Like I was like, if it. I just think
the size. It's a little smaller.
Yeah, it's a little
Does this
smaller.
matter? Okay.
It's significantly smaller. And it was really good, and that's what I ended up sticking with. And
is this also a Samsung?
No. Oh, no.
What is this? Which one is the one that's good?
Well, here's the thing. There's only one, at least as it was a year and a half ago when this all went down. There's only one manufacturer of these OLEDs. I think it probably is a technology patent thing.
Really?
And they'll private label them. So mine happens. I don't know if mine's a Panasonic or a Samsung. It's definitely not a Samsung, because I was so mad at Samsung at that moment in time. Yeah.
Mine's
but anyway,
a Samsung, and it works pretty well.
So you just need to I'm going to give you a little, man-to-man advice here.
Please do.
To televisions.
Nothing I like better than man-to-man advice.
This is what you need to do. This is the mindset you need to put yourself in. You ready?
Okay, hit me.
Okay, here we go. Number one. Buy the best TV you could have bought a year ago.
Yeah, that's not bad advice, actually. Yeah.
Like, just don't get all caught up in like, oh, what's the newest thing? What's the best? Like, think about the TV you would have loved to have a year ago. If you can afford that, right? Buy that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because they're really not that much different.
Exactly.
Like,
yeah.
It's just, and here's number two. Buy. Even though we have backup singers. Number two.
10 dual commandments have been flapping around in my head.
1, 2, 3,
for
4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Is that Electric Company? Was that Sesame Street or Electric Company?
That's a good question.
Because we can't have an episode go by where Sesame Street doesn't come
That's
up.
true. The people in,
Yeah.
But
we'll figure that out.
I don't know. I think it's Sesame Street, but I'm not prepared to swear about that.
So, number two, focus on quality first, size second.
Yeah,
Like so my recommendation would be to go smaller, but get like the OLED, because it makes that much of a difference.
Yeah.
Than to get like a 90-inch ultra high def whatever that really isn't going to look. You don't really need it that big anyway. I mean, unless you're like outfitting a theater.
Right.
But
see, that's the thing, isn't it? Because the sort of dream among goofy white guys is to have the home theater experience emulate as closely as possible the theater experience when you go to the theater. But if you really look at just like how much real estate in your field of vision that screen at the movies has, your television, you don't have to have a very big television that's sitting over there, much, much closer to your face, to take up that same amount of real estate. It really comes down to the sound. I would almost say that the sound is more important even than the picture.
Probably, but even with that, you can it's like, really, is it that much better? Like and your neighbors are going to start yelling at you if you really crank it up to a movie theater level.
Well,
okay, but where the size matters is where I've learned is how far away do you want to view the TV from? So if you have a long room and you want to be, say there's moments where you're in the kitchen very far away from the television and you want to be able to see what's going on. And then there's sometimes where you're up, you're on your couch or whatever, close to the television. Like, that's when it matters.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Otherwise, get over it. Like, just get it.
True.
You're not doing the theater. I'll tell you right now.
Yeah,
Emily's not going to go for it.
Well,
it's not going to happen.
Who knows? But but yeah, I need to upgrade the old television. But I don't know. It's just one of those things that if it doesn't blow up on me, and I'm not usually like this about anything else. I'm the guy that gets the new phone or whatever. But for whatever reason, the TV just doesn't stand out to me as a thing I need to upgrade, because I don't notice that it's not. I think if I spent like a good bit of time, like if I was in an Airbnb for a work trip or something, and that they had a really cool 4K television there, and I had a week to like get used to that, and then I came home and I was in my 1080p hell, then I'd be like, okay, Amazon, but until that happens, hey, it is what it is.
No, you need to fix that.
Yeah, I probably do. Yeah, you're right. But you got Matrix in 4K now, though. That's cool.
I do, and it's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing. Love Boat in 4K is a beautiful thing, too.
It surprises me it's able to scale to 4K.
I don't know.
I don't know. Did they film it? Really. I mean, if they did film it on film, then, yeah, theoretically we should be able to rescan it.
I may have to go find out. I might have to watch some Love Boat tonight. I actually can't. We're on this West Wing kick right now.
Oh, yeah.
And we're making our way through. And
where are you in the seasons?
I think we're in season. We're either in 4 or just finished 4.
What season is Two Cathedrals in? That's the end of season 2,
I believe. Yeah, that's great.
That is probably the single greatest episode of television I've seen it's certainly in the top 5. That is one of the most amazing episodes ever. Love it.
It was very good.
So good.
And there was I'm trying to see, what was the one where, I don't want to give away any plot lines here.
It's a very old television show.
I know, but there's a lot of people who haven't seen it.
Well, go and see it. You should.
I don't know what's wrong with people.
I don't either. Martin Sheen, Rob Lowe.
There was a rumor,
Richard
actually
Schiff.
Maybe it's more than a rumor now, that they said
Bradley.
that it's coming back for something.
Bradley.
So I got this message from a good friend of mine who was battling. He's a bigger West Wing aficionado than I am.
Oh.
And he believes that Aaron Sorkin is Amadeus. I was going to say Amadeus. It's Nostradamus.
Amadeus.
Yes, he can play the piano upside down.
It's worse. He's actually Falco, who recorded "Rock Me, Amadeus."
Oh boy!
But, deep cuts, folks.
He thinks he's Nostradamus. And he sent me this thing.
And he ended up not predicting anything. But
it says West Wing cast to reunite on HBO Max this fall.
Oh, that's cool. I have HBO Max.
It says West Wing cast to star in reunion special on HBO Max, but
via Zoom.
I don't want just like one episode.
Yeah, no, they need to come back and do like 20 seasons, including Rob Lowe. I didn't like when he left. That bothered me, even though Josh Malina is very cool.
Yeah,
there's room for both.
Mm-hmm.
Why am I completely spacing on Josh's actor's name? Bradley
Whitford.
Whitford. Thank you.
He didn't take Sam's role. He didn't.
No, Josh Malina did.
No. I think you need to go back and watch again. I think
you need to go back and watch it again. He takes over when Sam wins the election out in California, and he takes over the office next to
You're thinking
Toby's.
of Will. You're thinking of Will.
Yeah, but Josh Malina plays Will.
Oh, I thought you were referring to. Oh, you're right. I was confusing Josh with Josh.
Oh, right. Not Josh Lyman. No.
Yeah, who is Bradley? That's Bradley Whitford. Well,
Bradley Whitford. Yeah, I was, for some reason, Whitford was not coming to my head. I kept wanting to say Cooper, and I was like, no, that's not it.
Nah, it's definitely not him.
Different guy.
Yeah, I need to
This is now a West Wing podcast.
Yeah. Oh, there is a podcast.
Oh, yeah. The Josh Molina hosts,
Exactly.
weirdly enough.
Yes. We've come full circle. Accidentally derivative, folks. I don't know what you're expecting.
Well,
I mean,
at this
it's in
point,
the
it was
name.
kind of purposeful.
It's like it's in the name. Anyway, that's coming back, and I'm going to be excited about that.
Yay, that is cool.
I like that. So my friend back in Baltimore, who is more of a West Wing aficionado than I am, who sent me this article. He knew I was watching West Wing, and I suspect he decided to go back and watch it too when he was fighting kidney stones.
Ooh.
So he was home for a day or two, I guess, dealing with that. And then he leapfrogged me somehow. I'd been watching for a few weeks, and it's like in 2 days he leapfrogged me in terms of my progress, my West Wing progress, and so now it's like game on.
Uh-oh.
So
race for the title.
And now Michelle is also fascinated. She's kind of become kind of reconnected to it again, and so now that's what we do. I'm pretty sure tonight when I go home, she's gonna look at me and I'm gonna look at her. She's like, "Yeah, you want to?" She's like, "Yeah,
do one.
Okay. You want to
do a quick
okay.
episode?"
And we'll sit down and watch West Wing, and we're talking about West Wing, which is sad. And then it was like last night with the bad timing because we watched. I'm just like it's just so embarrassing. We watched a couple episodes, but we started early because I was working on email and watching West Wing and stuff. And we're sitting there doing stuff, and it's like when you're just working while you're watching. I don't do that frequently. I usually like to separate the two things. But on a Sunday, I've got to get through my email and stuff. Watching West Wing, they're just rolling with it. Before you know it, we watched 2 episodes, and so now it's like the final episode of the season, where something maybe happens to Zoe, but I'm not going to talk about it. And then, so of course we have to watch that.
Sure, yeah.
Right. But then it's like a cliffhanger. So you got to watch.
You got to watch the next one, yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
so now we're 4 episodes in. It's 11 p.m. We both have to get up. Everyone's got to get up early.
Yeah.
Oh, we watched another one.
This year got 43 minutes a pop. So
yeah, no commercial. 45 minutes. Right. So 5 hours later, we went to bed. 5 hours. Now I did get through a lot of. I did get through a lot of email. I'm sure my employees were really happy today when they returned the full inboxes. Oh, look who answered all of our questions over the weekend. Oops. But I love that show. It's a fun show.
Yeah.
They don't make shows like that anymore.
I tell you what, I'm kind of glad
actually they do.
The modern sort of binge watching thing doesn't have is, I mean, you can find it, and I guess if you kind of wait long enough in some of these services, it'll do something like this. But the thing that they used to do on broadcast television, which is next time on blah, blah, blah. Because way back in the day when I was in college, I was not in a place that carried this show that I really, really loved called Babylon 5. Not prison, no. Oh. I was in college. It's a little different. But yeah, there's a show called Babylon 5 that I really, really, really love. Wonderful science fiction television show, some of the greatest television science fiction ever done. But we weren't in a market that carried it. So a friend of mine got, I think it was from Albuquerque. They would tape the shows, and then when they get a good 5 or 6 tapes full,
VHS,
yeah. Mm-hmm. And then once they got about a good 5 or 6 tapes full, would ship it to him, and everybody come over to my place and we'd watch them. And we got through, and this is a network season, so it's 22 episodes.
Yeah. Well, that's just how they used to do it.
Yeah. And we would get, and it's an hour-long show, so without commercials, a good 43, 44 minutes. And the problem was they would do the next time on Babylon 5 and they show this stuff. It's like, well, heck, we got to see that. And then it's the sun's up and oh my God, it was ridiculous.
Now you know what my Sundays are like.
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Maybe what tonight will be like. It's like at least we have the discipline to say if it's midnight, we need to be going to bed.
Well, I like that some of these start doing like bits of judgment on you. Like, are you still watching? Like, yes. But Hulu doesn't do that. Hulu does not give a rat's ass if you're still watching.
Yeah, YouTube TV. Netflix.
I don't even know if Netflix still does it.
Well, I think we active. So we will do the whole skip. So we don't skip the recaps, which I don't understand why. I like the recaps.
Because you just watched
I literally just watched
episode.
it. But sometimes they bring in something from like 6 episodes ago. And you're like,
yeah.
I'm glad I forgot about that.
And they bring in the stuff that's kind of going to be important for this episode. So
makes sense, right? So I don't know. I think if you click, so I don't skip the recap, but I do skip the intro.
I
skip yeah. Even though I like the tune.
Oh yeah. Yeah, what is his name? W.G. Snuffy Walden?
Mr. Snuffleupagus? I don't know who did it.
The guy that does the music for that. It is excellent music. And nails it.
How do you know that? Why do you know that? How do you know that?
Just the people that do the music for stuff is a particular interest of mine.
Mine too. I enjoy it, but I don't remember their names. I don't
think
I ever knew their names. Like you go and look it up, like, who
learn
did
their
this?
names. You learn the names, so you'd be like, oh, that's why that sounds like that, because it's the same
I'm not going to
guy.
remember their names. Like, I have a hard enough time remembering people like I just met 6 minutes ago.
Well, so do I, but people who score films and television, those are important people, not like people I meet.
I mean, they're important to me too, but I just don't remember their names. I don't know how people do this. I don't know how people
Lord of the Rings,
remember.
Trevor Jones. That's a fantastic. Excuse me, Harvard.
I don't remember the
Howard
names.
Shore, not Trevor Jones.
So at some point in my development to adulthood, some part of my brain turned off.
Mm.
When I was a kid, I could remember. I mean, I still remember the names of like everybody. I mean, Craig and all my friends from school. I remember.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to name them all, but I remember them. I remember my teachers' names. I remember my phone numbers, street addresses, my friends' phone numbers.
Weirdly, I think I remember my phone numbers too.
I remember my friends' phone numbers.
I remember some of them.
Something happened in high school, and I didn't do any weird stuff in high school, so don't go there.
Who would have gone there?
Something happened, and I remember the day. I went to I was at the grocery store, and I ran into somebody who I was in high school with. Actually, maybe I was in college at the time. Again, no weird stuff. So okay. I was in college at the time, and I ran into somebody I was in high school with, but it had just been like a year or two out. Like, I should know this person's name, right? For the life of me, could not think of their name. 7 minutes later, when they were gone, I remembered their name. Like, oh, God, that's right. Right?
Oh, I hate that. Because you want to run back to him and go, hey, I remember your name.
I did remember your name. Well, I'm pretty good at like, I can navigate the situation well. No, it's like what I do have going for me is I remember everything about people. I can remember the stories.
Oh, right.
I can remember where they, what they do, where they're from. I remember all those things. I just remember their name. So at some point,
I'm awful with those names.
Something happened, and my brain stopped registering names, which is the worst possible thing that could happen to somebody who actually was interested in politics at the time. And so I realized I just have to become. Michelle and I had to have this code. Here's the deal: if we're at a party or something, and I introduce you first,
yes,
have you met my wife, Michelle? Right. Then she will say, hi, I'm Michelle. And then that automatically kind of forces the other person through social dynamics.
Whoever they are.
So-and-so, right? And it's this little this social jujitsu thing that we do. Because I can't remember people's names sometimes. And no, most of the time. And not people like I know, like I clearly know your name, Bob, and I think that I would remember
I appreciate that.
Stacy's name, of course. But I think that
Stacy. And her mom. She's got it going on.
It's the it's like the name of that guy who wrote the music for that song that you love. Like,
yeah,
I don't remember his name.
For some reason, those names I can keep track of. People I actually meet. Nope. I don't know what's different. I don't know why one
I can tell you that
is different than the other.
I can tell you that Bob Denver played Gilligan.
Yes. John Denver did not.
No. Bob Denver played Gilligan, but I have no idea the name of like that guy, Will, who you just told me about. Josh something.
Oh,
Josh. Yeah, that guy.
What? No, I'm blanking. I do these.
The guy from
I
the
do
podcast.
this too a lot. Yeah. Suddenly, my memory just utterly drops out from under me,
and so it's not. See, for a while, I actually believed. Maybe I'm getting like this early onset thing or something. Like maybe like it's like early onset. No, it's not that at all. Because then I remember like, oh no, I've actually never been good at it.
Exactly.
So when I was like a teeny little kid, and at some point my brain said, "You don't need that
what you're
section.
Thinking.
We're gonna use that section for something else."
Right.
But here's the deal. It's actually in there. That's the other thing I've learned is like my brain has just rerouted the piping. It's just decided like we're going to put some things in deep storage, and you have to fill out a requisition slip when you actually want that information.
And we may get back to you.
And so if you want that, like fill out the slip, we'll take care of it. If you're in a hurry, it's not going to help. You can't hurry us along because now it's going to just slow us down, right?
An emergency on your part is not.
So names of so like for some reason the name of the person who I just met last week, which would be handy to remember, unless I go through some like kind of mnemonic gymnastic thing where I like it reminds me.
People have these systems and they never work for me.
They work for me. Those do work for me.
They never do for me.
But I don't.
Now I got to remember that too.
No, you just remember that it's like the thing about the person, the thing about the thing, and then.
Yeah, but I don't remember. I'm not good about remembering the thing. Remembering a thing about the thing is going to be even worse. That's like an extra layer of thing. That's too much thing.
It just is what it is. Like, remember last week I told you that when I learned languages, I like a better learning the sounds of the phrases, like the.
Right. Yeah. Do you remember what breakfast is in Japanese?
It's hold on. It's something Hantu. Mahantu?
No, but that is what you.
Ahantu.
Asagohan.
Asagohan. That's it.
Also goes in the
same idea though.
Yeah. No, you were on the right track.
I was putting in my other hand, like my hand. It's my hand too. Asagohan. I always see, and
you were there, yeah.
And we had one conversation about it. So like that, I'll remember stuff like that. But I think our brains do these things where there's like some committee that's set up, and we're not invited to the meeting because they feel like we have more important things.
It's
to do.
not even on my calendar. This thing.
And meeting. At some point, you're like. We're going to start putting that in over here. Mm-hmm. We're going to start putting that way down there.
We'll tell you what you remember.
and forever, all you have to do is catch a whiff of this 1 cent, and you will remember the entire Shakespearean every word to Hamlet.
It's like when. It's just like in Finding Nemo when Dory, when she suddenly remembers Nemo or whatever, and you get that dolly zoom, and then she, it's just like that.
It's just like exactly like that. But like you remember the name of that person you met last week, which you thought to yourself, I'm going to try to remember this person's name. And it drives me crazy. There's people who just like Lou Mangello's like this. Like he just remembers stuff.
Friend of the show, Lou Mangello.
Crazy stuff. And he gets mad that you don't remember.
Well, he's a lawyer. They remember that kind of junk. They got memory things.
That did irritate me in law school. So I did 1 year of law school.
Which I
thought I wanted to. I know
floors me that
it's the hardest year. I know. I get that a lot. But that was part of my problem. Like I would book brief, I'd read a case and I'd have to read this
underwear,
case.
I think, isn't it?
Right. I'd have to read this case like 4 times to really kind of digest it and understand it and have a full sense of things and have my notes straight and everything and be ready to discuss it in class if I happen to be called on, which I probably won't be. But that was
unless you didn't. Then
yeah,
you definitely will.
But I had friends who they would just read it one time.
Yeah.
And that's it. And they never had to brief anything. It was just there. And it made me kind of irritated. Because you have to, like, it's something you just have to work longer. It's not even a matter of working harder. It's like you just have to work longer.
But
right?
it's like,
and I could never remember here's why I could never have really survived ball school and done a great job. I was good at writing. I knew the law. Like, you asked me, okay, what should the rule be? Or what is the rule related? Here's the situation, like, what should the decision be? I got it. I like done.
So you like be a good judge, but
here's the thing, though, because you actually have to write stuff down. So you have to know the case. That's the whole idea of law. Like, you have to be able to speak to the body of work, to the decision that came before that's relevant in this case. Like, it's this whole stare decisis thing. Let the decision rest. Stare decisis. Like, let the decision rest.
Gold Bond medicated powder takes care of that. The heartbreak of stare decisis.
They sold that in the bookstore. Yeah. And you have to know these things. You can't just know this is what it's supposed to be. You can't just say like, oh, well, this is the law. You can't just say like, oh, there was that case. There was that case where that person sued the so and so for this, and remember, and then they like, yeah, that's great. Except you have to tell us the name of the case. Like, well,
come on, you know what I'm talking about.
The thing is, me and names not so good. But put me in a room with people.
It's people versus friends. Different.
But that's the thing. Like, put me in a room with people who know, like, can who can remember the cases.
Yeah.
But they may not remember the stories yet. Like, for
you
them,
go.
they hear the
You need a
case name.
partner.
They hear the case name. They remember the story, right? For me, I remember the story, but not the case name. And so, like, for me, I hear this and I can connect the dots and I can say, okay, well, no, this is like this and this is like this and this. But I don't remember the damn names of the cases, which sucks when you're sitting.
For a lawyer, yeah.
And you have to do as a practicing attorney, I think it works fine because you have LexisNexis and all these other tools at your disposal. Yeah. But when you're sitting there with your blue book, and you've got, and it's amazing that I actually did decent at all, considering.
I think about now. We did a thing where we wrote out not too long ago, where we wrote out letters to people who are registered to vote but haven't voted in a while, and it was supposed to be this kind of thing where you write a little personal note about why you think it's important to vote or whatever, and it's very positive and like, whoa, go vote because it's going to be awesome. But
you mean the outcome or the experience?
Well, hopefully both. But the amount of writing wasn't much, but I felt like my hand was on fire.
And I thought
back to like finals in my master's program and how I had to walk in there with like a stack of 10 blue books, and how I managed to get through that at all, I have no idea.
I remember learning that if you write, I just saw it as a game, and you had to write as neatly. Because I'm not a neat writer at all. But for blue book writing, baby, it was the best penmanship ever. Like I was.
You actually have a font.
I was like
so regular.
You're
cursiving it.
Oh, I was cursiving it. Yeah.
Oh wow.
And it was beautiful. It looked like Thomas Jefferson written these things. Didn't sound like it, but it looked like it. And
where like you use the F instead of the S in the congraphs.
Why does he keep calling it Fuperman? I don't understand.
Doesn't that thing mean loud in music notation?
So, I kind of like the blue books because I felt like I was
them.
able to game this. I had a leg up over the competition because
like you could
I knew
sort
this,
of.
Well, I know. So it's kind of like marketing. You go into it knowing we're all going to pretty much write the same thing. We're all pretty much offering up the same product.
Right.
What I need to do
gotta jazz it up
is make it. Well, I need to make it easy. They have a lot of these to read.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
I'm just going to make it easy on them. So
That's
what
you
do?
Good tack.
You write very legibly.
Yeah.
You make sure it's highly organized. You include certain like important buzzwords.
Oh, absolutely.
So that you know, like, okay, when they're scanning, and you place them on the page in places where you know it's going to be easy for their eye to hit it. And you use transition words. Like, make sure you're always using transition words, so that kind of leads them on, because they're skimming. You know, they're skimming. Sure, they've got dozens of these to read. That throughout college, and
that's a good plan to just make it easy to consume. That is good. I like that. The buzzwords thing is totally true. I completely horse crapped my way through a test in decision support systems that there was a I don't even remember what the question was, but I remember just looking at the question and going, I got nothing here. I have no idea. And so I just started philosophizing on like data and like at one point I was citing complexity theory and like all of this stuff. I was just throwing things in there. Now it made sense internally,
it's like Ratatouille.
But whether or not it actually addressed the question, that was sort of the kind of X factor there. It wasn't really, but boy, I took it. You know how they talk about like modern debate class now these days, which I don't know why it's even considered debate anymore because they're so weird, that you're supposed to debate this topic, and apparently one of the strategies is to take that topic and widen it out to be as broad as possible, and then you can focus it down on something you actually did prepare for, which isn't anything like the topic, which I would say, sorry, you get a 0 for that. But it was like that. It was kind of like that. I was like, all right, well, let's expand the scope of what we're looking at when we're talking about blah. And I got full credit for that. And I almost like passed out laughing because I was like, looking at that and going, there's no way this guy. And a teacher that I completely respect, I wasn't be like, this dude is stupid, he's gonna buy this. No, I was like, there's no way this is gonna fly, but I got to do something here. And maybe he'll give me partial credit for giving it a shot. Totally nailed the question, apparently. So I don't know.
See,
it works. The buzzwords
there's
I got
the entertaining buzzwords, making it easy on people.
I was able to make them entertaining too.
You have to so one of my favorite professors from college was my government budgeting professor, which you wouldn't think would be.
That sounds like a riot.
But he was so good. I remember, I think the number one thing I learned from him was the art of writing a one-page memo.
Mm-hmm.
He worked for the Congressional Budget Office before he became a professor, and he worked under Alice Rivlin, who went on to become, did she become Fed chair at some point? Hold on.
Jeez,
maybe she just went on to the Office of Management and Budget. Hold on, let's see. I know I'm like
all of your college professors were West Wing people.
Well, I mean, I worked on the Hill for a while, so she was the director of Office of Management and Budget. She wasn't on the Fed. So anyway, but that's a big deal because OMB dead is a big deal in the White House. Anyway. So she was vice chair of the Federal Reserve. That's what she was. She became vice chair. Anyway, he worked for her when she was at the Congressional Budget Office, and so he learned a lot of stuff there. Anyway, so the biggest thing I learned from him, biggest takeaway, was how to write a one-page memo, and that because no one reads beyond the first page.
Yeah, amen.
And I've tried to teach that, and now I think it's even worse. This was back in the 90s. Like now, it's more like, if you can't convey it in the subject line.
Right, exactly. Like now, what does page even mean anymore?
And so I've tried to teach folks who work for me that they put the same elements, like put your decision up front. or your recommendation. Like if you're making a recommendation or asking for something, whatever it is, put it right up front. Right?
Yeah.
Because that may be all I need.
Exactly.
I may just say, like, right from there, like, okay, go do. I don't need any of the information. Then give me a little summary, just a little, like, paragraph at the most on, like, this is the background, this is the why, this is the, implications, this is what I recommend, this whatever. Boil it into a little paragraph, like 4 sentences at the most. Then, like, the rest of the sheet of paper, the rest of the email page, have it be the meat and potatoes of, like the real stuff. So if I really need to understand it better and dig in, put that all there. That's it. I can't get anybody to do it.
Yeah. That's the problem.
It's like an impossibility. I've tried to teach my
kids. Getting them to
like,
sort of trust that.
Yeah. That, and also, if you ever have a professor or a boss or a colleague who offers to review your work before you hand in the final. Right. You always take them up on that.
Always. Yes.
All the time.
Yes.
Never, ever pass up an opportunity to have somebody critique your work.
No kidding. Absolutely.
Ever.
Totally understand that.
And my kids don't do that either. I'll say, like, you want me to read that for you? Like, no.
No.
Yeah,
you do.
Okay.
You don't know that you do, but you do.
Okay.
Speaking of concise, we hired somebody at my work, and we got a guy that submitted a 6-page resume.
Is it a technical resume, or is it like has he worked in that many places?
He just
large fonts.
It was all of that. It was almost as though
did he create a word search? Because that would be pretty cool.
It would have been interesting if there had been like some SEO going on in his resume. But yeah,
I was thinking like an actual word search, like like you had to have like a word, you have all the letters on the board, and you have to like find the words that are buried
right, and it's like maybe that's his like work experience, like 2010 to 2000. Okay,
he was a puzzle maker. Okay, I get it.
But yeah, I was like, you are kidding me with this six pages, and yeah, so.
You didn't hire him?
No. Not because of that.
You didn't even interview?
No, the guy was bad.
Like, because your first
question. I did
question.
interview him, no.
Oh, good. Because it was your first question. So 6 pages, huh?
Nah, I didn't want to get like that. But it did sort of. And another thing that was kind of funny is we had a guy that submitted an unformatted paragraph. I hesitate to say unformatted. It was a block of text, and it was full justified. So it was literally a square of text that took up like the center. If you took a regular sheet of paper and you made a square that 2 sides are the margins of each side of the paper, and then just square those off. And then so you have a little more on top, a little more on bottom. That was a solid block of text. And that was sort of a combination of the objective, which I think is an absolutely stupid part of the resume that we need to get rid of because it is useless and pointless.
My objective is to be employed.
Right.
By you.
Like, what other objective am I supposed to? My objective is to be the first person to reanimate dead fish. But, and by the way, can I have a job as a data analyst? That's my day job.
I mean, if you're applying for a job at an aquarium.
Yes, that might work. But yeah, what was hilarious though is that he fancied himself. He presented himself as a expert in data visualization, which I thought was hilarious because this is like the worst way to visualize your resume. But yeah, so giant blocks of text, no. 6 pages, no. This is Resume Tips by Accidentally Derivative.
Oh my goodness.
Do not submit it as a Microsoft Paint file.
It used to be so easy.
This is it, resume.bmp, really?
There's some clever resumes out there now, but most of them are
yeah.
most of them are just
Well, and you find a lot that are. We went to reallycoolresumetemplates.com, and pulled something down.
Still, I like to see people who put effort into it.
Absolutely, and one of the sort of joys that I had of the hiring process was when I was on the team to select somebody from to be a graphic designer for our marketing department, and then those resumes were awesome. You had to see all kinds of really cool resumes because, hey, here's yet another. I mean, they're going to bring in their portfolio, but what's the first thing they're going to show you is something that they designed to be their resume. And it's like if I see like contemporary resume template 4 from Microsoft Word, and you're a graphic designer, oh no, you go. Sorry, but yeah, those were neat. I like that.
I did,
but you get a really left brain position like data analyst. Your resumes are going to be pretty straightforward. Courier font, neat.
Don't get me started on the fonts.
Oh man, you and me both. I am a font nerd like you wouldn't believe. If I see another sign in Papyrus, I'm going to throw up. Comic Sans ain't got nothing on Papyrus.
Oh, I don't see a lot of Papyrus in the wild anymore.
Oh no, I seem to. Maybe I just have a thing where it trips a thing in my head or something, but anywhere if there's like even a little hint of Papyrus, I'm like,
Well, I feel like I need to look it up now. I think. Oh, yeah, that's
It's everywhere. Everybody chooses that. Don't if you're doing your font for your sign or for your logo, don't use a free one. Use a free one from Word.
When would it be appropriate to use Papyrus?
As a sign that says no more using Papyrus, and this is what Papyrus looks like, so don't use this.
There's a YouTube video called Papyrus, the other most hated font in the world.
Thank you. It absolutely is.
Oh, apparently Avatar was using Papyrus?
The movie?
Yeah.
Or like
there's some video here about new Avatar logo ditches Papyrus font. And what was the Avatar? Oh, is the Avatar logo in Papyrus?
I don't know what the Avatar logo looks like. Are we talking about like how it's written on the movie poster? We're talking about the Avatar, right? Avatar, like the blue people, not the Last Airbender.
Yeah.
Because I know that's not Papyrus. I can see that. For some reason, I can't see the...
You're wrong.
I'm wrong?
You're wrong. Papyrus, it says... There's an article here called Papyrus is the perfect font for the movie Avatar, and it's not what you think. And it's
this doesn't look like Papyrus. I'm looking at the movie poster.
The use of Papyrus causes...
This is the really interesting part of the show.
Oh, you know what? Yeah. Yeah, it says James. There's a whole article here. James Cameron's Avatar ditches Papyrus fonts for sequels.
Huh, they must have like retroactively done the posters for the first one too then, because I'm not seeing a Papyrus.
That's funny. That's funny.
But that's even more hilarious because that's totally just a free font that comes with your computer.
They retconned their I know, but there's something beautiful about it too. I feel like I need to write something in Papyrus to you.
Oh, thank you. Yes,
on Papyrus,
on an actual Papyrus. This unknown Egyptian.
Maybe that's when it would be appropriate to write Papyrus.
If you're actually an unknown Egyptian.
No, if you're writing it on Papyrus.
On Papyrus, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Then the irony cancels it out.
It does. Especially if you're able to get Papyrus in your laser printer.
Yes.